Let's get to what John McDonnell has to say for us today. And he writes about Christian Porter and the reality of him resigning. He makes a compelling argument, particularly on the ramifications for the judge hearing his defamation case if that trial was to proceed. Let's take a look at what John's article says. He says that Christian Porter should resign as Attorney General. There should be no argument about the fact that Christian Porter should have resigned as Attorney General as soon as he initiated defamation in his action against the ABC and Louise Milligan. This is an unfortunate and inevitable consequence of the position he holds. To put this issue in context, the Attorney General had no alternative but to launch defamation action, given the strong possibility that he would be forced out of politics. If he could no longer be a politician, he would have to find employment somewhere else as a lawyer or other professional. He would not be able to do this with an allegation of rape hanging over his head. John says this left him with two alternatives: accede to an independent inquiry or launch a defamation action. An independent inquiry would have been politically charged and would place the onus on Porter to prove he was a fit and proper person to be Attorney General. In effect, it would be demanded that he remove any skerrick of doubt that he had allegedly assaulted a person 33 years ago who is now deceased. And John adds that there were no witnesses, and so this would be hard to achieve. On the other hand, launching a defamation action could force the ABC to prove that they were telling the truth when they said a senior cabinet minister had been allegedly accused of rape. The ABC will raise some technical defences. They will argue that Milligan did not identify the cabinet minister involved and that they did not actually accuse him of rape, just alleged, and an accusation had been made. But if these defences are overruled, then they will have to rely on the truth and the public interest defence. And in this case, it will become a matter of judgment as to who is telling the truth. Christian Porter will give evidence on oath and be cross-examined. The deceased's complainant cannot give evidence, and the soundness of her allegation cannot be tested. Supporters of the dead complainant believe there are witnesses that will confirm she is telling the truth, but this is doubtful, writes John. Porter is being represented by the lawyers who acted for Brittany Higgins in her defamation action against Linda Reynolds, Rebecca Giles and Sue Christinathu. These women are unlikely to proceed with a matter that they will lose because there is evidence that their client is not telling the truth. This raises a tricky question, says John. Porter's defamation action is listed to be heard by a federal court judge, Jane Jaggett. She is one of the country's best judges and an obvious candidate for the High Court. Appointments to the High Court are made by the Cabinet on the recommendation of the Attorney General. This means that if Justice Jaggett finds in favour of the Attorney General in the defamation matter, she will disqualify herself from appointment to the High Court. This would apply to any judge who adjudicated on his defamation matter. This is an unfair penalty on the judiciary and the public of Australia, John says. There are likely to be 2 appointments to the High Court within the next term of Parliament. It is not only the Attorney General who will be accused of bias on account of the Attorney's defamation action, but the whole government. The fact is that Christian Porter may not be in Parliament after the next election. While his seat is not likely to be abolished, if his presence is going to cost seats in WA, he will probably quit politics. And John says that between now and the election, that Christian Porter should stand down so that there be no taint on any judge that would be hearing the case and their career move into, say, the High Court. Well, this is a very interesting discussion and a postscript that it's worth noting that Christian Porter is paying for his legal action, whereas the ABC's defence will be funded by the taxpayer. This is a problem because it means that when the ABC engages in possible defamatory journalism, it has no skin in the game. And I think there's actually a reasonable point that John makes there on the ABC, and if it's going to have these particular situations where its reporters make allegations, then the ABC should also lose in its budget its defence of those allegations. I mean, that just means you've just got to provide less services because your people are actually making allegations, and if they're found to be not true, then the case would be awarded against the ABC and they would have to pay the damages involved and the court costs. And, well, I think that's probably the way it should be. It should come out of their budget for the mistake that would be made rather than us forwarding on the bill. Yes, there is lots to be said about Christian Porter and the current murky business that's going on. And I think that it's probably easier to leave it at that.